Hello again, Rick here, and well, I just finished watching Together, and I just want to talk about it a little bit because it's really a trip, and I'm kind of tripping out here because it's been a while since I've been clean shaven, so it's kind of weird seeing myself without a beard and mustache and all that. So guess I'll have to get used to that. All right, enough of the babble. But okay, so Together, what is this movie about? So it's about this couple, Tim and Millie, played by Allison Brie and Dave Franco, who basically moved to a new area because Millie has a new job as a teacher. Look at that. Teaching, teachers unite. Hooray, right? Pretty cool to see a teacher in the movie. I mean, I'm biased, I'm a teacher, right? So it's pretty cool. Nonetheless, they move out to this place in the outdoors, right? And they go off on a little hiking adventure. It starts to rain, they fall in a little hole, they drink the water, and they start to meld together, right? Now, of course, that's an oversimplified, it's a little more complicated than that, but we'll start talking about it in a bit right now. And I guess right now would be a good time to warn that there's gonna be a bunch of spoilers more than likely. I'll probably spoil like most of the stuff here, so just to let you know. Okay, so now that the spoiler warning's been given, let's talk a little bit about this movie right now. A couple of things I found interesting. One, it's a body horror movie. If you've seen the trailer, right, you can get a gist that it's going to be body horror oriented, right? But that's like the first part that makes it interesting, right? If you're into like the visceral horrors, this one's got some of it in there. It's pretty gnarly at some points. So there's like a particular scene where Allison Brie's at work. Well, I guess Millie, right? Millie's at work, and Tim comes by because he just can't like live without her, basically, right? He's like, oh my god, I can't be without her after drinking the water, right? We'll come back to that in a bit because that's weird as shit already. So they head off over there, right? And all of a sudden they're at work. They go into the restroom and, well, I mean, what can I say, right? They get busy. But that's where the the painful scene happens right now, watching. And my cousin and I were both wincing at what was happening because, like, you know, if you've seen the trailer, you can see that they're starting to basically morph into one, right? And, well, they just finished having sex. So what do you think is getting stuck and where is it getting stuck? And then we're all wincing and crying in pain watching that happen. Yeah, it looks painful. And, yeah, any dude who saw that was probably wincing. I was, for sure. So I did mention that they drank some weird water, right? We saw at the beginning of the movie, you saw two dogs drink the water because they were lost off on their own. They drink the water in this little pool there, and then they melt together. They mold together, right? So when Millie and Tim go on the hike, right, it starts to rain, they fall into a hole. They're stuck there because it's pouring. But the thing that's like, you know, I'm not an outdoorsman. I'm pretty much a city slicker, if you probably couldn't guess. So my outdoor skills are not fantastic. But I'll tell you one thing I know is that you don't drink water, especially ones that are like in some sitting sources there, like that's not running anywhere, because it's probably filled with animal piss and animal shit and all sorts of bacteria. You drink it, you're going to get sick. So that's coming from me, who like knows very little about living in the outdoors and whatnot, camping. It seems like it'd be fun to do, but I would need someone with experience to help me get through that, right? And I even know that you don't drink the damn water from there, but I guess Tim's even below my level of knowledge of being outside, because like he's like, yeah, we could just drink the water, chugs it down, gives it to Millie, who I would have thought would have known too, right? Come on, Millie, you're a teacher, dude. You should have known you don't drink damn water from from like a sitting source like that. Come on, man. And that was just like, my cousin and I were just like nodding our heads like, like I understand you have to do it to get the story going, right? But you should know it. You don't drink that damn water. And that was, for some reason, it sat in my head, and it's still sitting in my head, right? It's like, what is going on? But whatever, right? That's not even a con, like, for the movie, right? It's just like, what's going on? Another thing, right, is that I guess maybe I'm chuckling now, but a lot of this movie's kind of funny, man. Like, I don't mean like an unintentional humor way kind of deal, right? It's actually funny. So these guys are hilarious. Like, Dave Franco had me laughing, like, for chunks of the movie, right? And it'll be like little things like when they're stuck together at first, right? When they're in the cave, right, in that little hole that they fell into, little cave kind of deal, right? They drink it, they sleep. They drink the water, they sleep, and then all of a sudden they're stuck to each other in the morning, like barely, not like completely. So they separate, and they're like, "Oh, what's all that gooey goop, right? That's sticking them together, right?" And he's like, "Oh, it's mildew." And later on, they're like, well, "I thought you said it was mildew," and he's like, "What do I know about mildew?" Right? So I'm just laughing in there because it's like, what? Like for real, right? What does he know about mildew? He just drank water from a sitting source, right? I mean, come on. But yeah, there's little bits like that that are just funny. They're great together, Allison Brie and Dave Franco. I believe they're actually married in real life, if I'm not mistaken. If they are or they aren't, you know that. I mean, it's irrelevant, I guess. It's their personal life. But nonetheless, they have great chemistry together. Like, they work well together. And they have to because they're the only two predominantly in this movie, right? The cast is small. There's not very many people in it. The most people you're going to see is like at the beginning when they're at the party, right? But after that, it's just Allison Brie, Dave Franco, and the gentleman who plays Jamie, the other teacher that Millie meets at work and is pretty much their neighbor. Like, there's only like a few characters here. There's not very many that you see throughout the movie. So they did a great job carrying it, considering that kind of pressure they have to keep the movie going. You could certainly make a movie that's not very entertaining when you have only a few characters there. And thankfully that didn't happen here. Now, also like the dialogue right now, you hear him talking and it's like, at one point, Tim will say like, you know, my life was nothing before I met you. And I'm like, now I myself, I'm not like a omega romantic person, right? I mean, I think you should probably have more things going on than just your relationship. Sounds like a lot of codependency here. And I think that's kind of what the movie was going for, right? You see two people that are incredibly dependent on one another, right? I would say Tim more than Millie, right? But to the extent both of them, right, are dependent on one another. At one point, Millie says that she doesn't know how to cook. She can't cook anything. That's Tim. He does all the cooking. If it weren't for him, would she not be eating or what? And Tim, on the other hand, doesn't know how to drive. So without Millie, he literally can't go anywhere unless he wants to walk like distances, right? So it's weird, right, that they're just so codependent on each other. And I think like after you see them drink the water, right, especially Tim, like we stick with Tim for the longest time. Like Millie's gonna go drop him off at a gig, right? Well, not at the gig, but at a train station so he can go to the gig, right? Basically go back to the city and get a gig. And after they separate, he's like hyperventilating, dehydrated, right? He's like, I just can't function without her here, right? Like I can't function without her is essentially what it's getting at. So I think this movie was talking a lot about codependency. And I mean, you hear it in the dialogue. You see them literally melding together, right? They need each other. And throughout the movie, you hear like about this other couple that disappeared. Now, you're going to see him like later, right? Tim's going to find him in the cave. But they didn't meld together. Like, again, since I've already given you the spoiler warning, right? Like Tim and Millie are gonna meld together, and how Jamie and his husband melded together too, right? Because both those couples seemed very codependent. Even Tim said, "Hey, look, there was a time when I separated from my husband, right? And we were separated from one another." And he's like, "I had my freedom, right?" And he said it was miserable. I can't live without him, right? So again, they melded together. Tim and Millie melded together. It sounds like they're both kind of in a codependent kind of relationship. So they kind of completed each other, like in that case, literally, right? So they melded together. They went in. They blended. The other couple, maybe that wasn't the case because when I saw them during the movie, right, they were not together, right? They two heads, everything. It looked crazy. Body horror, right? The fun stuff. And that just really got to me, right? Because like I said, I'm like in the complete opposite end of that spectrum, right? I sometimes I get like, I need my space. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Sometimes, so like sometimes I'm like, I need my space. I have interests that I like to do, photography, things like that, and I like to go pursue it, right? So I don't want to be with somebody all day, every single minute of my life, right? I want to do other stuff. I have my own interests. I got my own shit to do, right? Oops, I'll kick the thing. I got my own shit I want to do, right? So it's like, to me, I'm just sitting there like, my eyes open, listening to some of the dialogue that's being spoken there, right? So it just got to me, right? It made me very, very uncomfortable. And that's just the dialogue, much less the body horror that you see, right? Like I said, some of it's pretty gnarly. And I just thought that was pretty interesting, pretty cool too, right? It's been a while since I felt really uncomfortable in a movie. So at the end of the day, is it worth watching together? If you probably hadn't guessed it, yeah, I liked it. It was pretty fun, man. I had a good time. I laughed. I winced. I squirmed because I was feeling uncomfortable, right? It's just a fun ride, man. Fun, it's gnarly, uncomfortable. Yeah, so go check it out, man, if you can. If you think I missed anything, which is definitely possible, right? Remember, I'm just a buffoon, protein guzzling buffoon, like I like to call myself, right? So if I missed something, you can just tell me in the comments if you'd like. Politely, please, though. I'm a little brittle, right? I can't take it. I'm just joking. But please, yeah, just keep it polite, right? Keep it civil. If you don't agree with something I said, that's cool. And just explain to me why I missed it or what I missed, and that's cool. But yeah, go check it out, man. It's fun. It's wild. It's a good movie. Check it out. Have a good one. Peace. Oh yeah, and don't drink sitting water unless you want to get really fucking sick. All right, now peace. Have a good one.